again at a point where my timeline is all messed up. My recollection of times and where I was at what time certain things happened is again very confusing to me. So if I'm wrong, forgive me. For those who would know the right timeline that were in the picture at the time or there when the certain thing was happening, forgive me if my timeline is wrong. You can drop me a comment and mention it. But it's the main points that I want to get out. So I was staying at this place for destitute people, and at some time during my stay or just after, I'd been at Clint's house. I think they had contacted Clint. People had Clint's number. The police had Clint's number from after I'd been to the mortuary and all as a contact number for me, and they had gotten hold of him, and they had said to him that the detective needs to come and see me. So a date was set up, an arrangement was made, and that's when I met this detective Bruce at Clint's house. He came to see me. He came, unfortunately, his first opinion, which is also strange, but I suppose it's expected because of the amount of drug addicts that were in Hillbrow at the time. His first words or opinion was that all his questions were to do about her and what drugs she was taking, and was she shooting up, was she spiking, was she injecting, because she had all holes between her, small pinholes between her knuckles, where she must have been doing drugs. Looked like OD, this net, which was very disappointing, because the more I had said that we never done that type of thing, we were on drugs, but we never done that, and she, that wasn't Susan. It'll be so hard for a lot of people to understand because of the life we led and the people we were. But I knew her, and as messed up as it is, I mean, we were together for quite a while. There was some type of love there, even if it was a pity and a caring and a needing love. It was there, So I knew that something else had happened to Susan. It wasn't an OD, and I let him know that. And he said, all right, they are going to be doing the autopsy and whatnot, and he'll let me know. He'll come back to me. I'm not sure how long it took before we heard from Detective Bruce again, but we did hear from him. He came again. I can't remember if I met him at Clint's house again. It probably was, but he came to tell me the outcome of the investigation and the autopsy and all. So somebody had been walking through Rhodes Park in Kensington. That's the park near Broomer Lake, and they had found her body there. They had found her in that position on her knees with her clothes about 20 or 30 meters away from her. So clothes went near her, and she had been positioned like this. Further investigation showed that Susan had been raped, obviously. I mean, I'm sure you've gathered that by now. Susan had been raped. Susan had also been sodomized. And to end it all off, Susan had been strangled to death. So Susan had basically been tortured before she died. She had been raped, she'd been sodomized, and she'd been strangled to death. They had no leads, excuse for rain. There was no evidence. There was nothing. It's an open case. They're doing what they can. Obviously not very much promise there. But all I can think of when retelling the story is what she must have gone through during those last, who knows how long it took, during those last hours it's yeah, it's obviously not the easiest thing to talk about. It's a hard thing to talk about and a hard thing to recollect. It's over 20 years ago. It's 23 years ago now, but it's the hurt is like it was yesterday. You know, and I think the hurt has got a lot to do with guilt and blame. You know, and so I'm trying to rid myself of that by opening up and speaking about this. I wish I could stop right now and just not continue, because it's not something that it's not something that I like to relive, but it's something that you need to know that I made it through eventually, you know. So I'd lost Susan. I mean, one of the worst ways I could think of. And to have such an ending to such a hard life. I'd done so much heavy praying that she was now with God and at peace. Like I said, there was nothing more that they could do or say except keep it as an open investigation and try find out who done it or what happened. I don't think I ever heard from Detective Bruce again after that. They never contacted me again. Nothing ever came of it. They just, you know, I still believe because she was a drug addict, it wasn't any type of priority. If I was any type of different man but the addict that I was at the time, maybe I would have followed up and pushed it a little bit further. But I was broken and I was useless, and although I was in recovery at that time, I was only clean a month or so, and I wasn't myself yet. I was still weak. Yeah, so then after that, I didn't seek out, or I didn't have much support through that. I don't feel bad saying that. I don't feel like I'm disappointing anybody, because I think everybody that knows me and knows what I went through at that time, I think everybody knows I didn't have the support. I mean, I didn't have anybody holding me up, getting me through it. It's something that I dealt with on my own, and I think I dealt with it by continuing drugging later on, and also just by blocking it out. It was a very odd thing to go through. Okay, so I was staying at this place for destitute people, and Michael comes to visit me. The minute Michael walks into that room and sees the room where I'm staying, he says, no ways, you can't stay here, you're moving out, I'm coming to fetch you. That was the weekend again. It was coming to the weekend. He said, I'm coming to fetch you Monday. I couldn't believe it. You know, I was ecstatic. I wanted to get out. I was happy. But again, he was working the weekend. He said he'll pick me up Monday morning, which was such a long weekend to wait for this best friend of mine to come and fetch me. During that time, now this is. A lot of people are not going to agree with this. A lot of people are not going to accept this. But this is my story, my truth. So I'm going to say it. I got a phone call. Somebody called me from the main house. They said there's a phone call for me, and I went to the phone. And my sister Debbie was on the phone. That's my elder sister. My sister Debbie was on the phone. She was very. She had beat cancer. She had cancer, went into remission, and she was on the phone. So she was very involved in the church and in Bible studies, and she loved her God with all her heart, you know. And she spoke to me a while, and I spoke and I cried, and she said to me, "What can I do? Or what can we do to make you better? Or you got any medication?" And I was, you know, what pill is going to take away the hurt that I'm feeling? What can take away this pain? There's nothing, you know. I'm just broken. There's nothing that can help me. And she said to me, "God can help you," you know, but very confident and openly, you know. God can help you. Just actually, what she said to me was, After I put down this phone, go to your room and go pray in tongues. Now, like I said, I've always been a believer, and I am spiritual, and I do believe in the spiritual gifts. I do believe in tongues and word of wisdom and faith and prophecy. I believe in the spiritual gifts. I just didn't believe it was accessible to everybody, and I definitely didn't believe that it was accessible to me. So anyway, I said to her, I've tried, Debs, I've tried, I can't. She said to me, go to your room, go pray in tongues. Anyway, the conversation ended. I told her how much I love her. She told me how much she loves me. She always called me little brother. And I went back to my room. I sat at my desk where I used to read the Bible at night and pray. I sat at that desk and I tried to pray in tongues. She said, just utter without thinking, just utter. Let the words just flow through your lips. Let your lips just move and try. And I tried, and nothing really worked. And I tried, and I kept on praying. I kept on pleading with God, and I told God what a sinner I am, and I told Him how I give up, and I told Him I submit. I told Him I don't know what else to do. In my eyes, my life is over. Maybe He sees something more. Give me a sign. Give something to know that I'm not forgotten, that I'm still loved. Let me know that I'm still worth it, And believe it or not, I started praying in tongues. I still pray in tongues up to today. I still pray heavily. I don't pray in a structured way. I don't pray at night before I go to sleep, or pray in the morning when I stand up. I pray more or less all the time, when I'm on the road, or when I'm driving, or when I'm walking. I was outside just now for a while before this video. I was praying. So I pray, I speak to God. I think I've finally developed a relationship with God that I've always wanted. I no longer see Him as my Heavenly Father, but as my Heavenly Daddy. I know that He's there for me. I know that He watches out for me. I know that He's pulled me through all of this. So yes, I started praying in tongues, and I ran inside that house, and I phoned her back, and I told her I've never had such a good feeling. I felt so amazed. I felt so on top of the world. I could now pray in tongues. It lifted weight off me. It made me feel better. It did, and it's what I've done. I spent a lot of time then praying. So I was thankful to her. And then so then that weekend went by. On the edge of my seat, waiting to see if Michael comes. I didn't phone him again, but I was waiting to see if he comes. And Monday morning, first thing, Michael was there. He was there in his Ford Bucky, there to come collect me and a little bit of things that I had and take me to his place. It wasn't far from where we were. I was in Rosettenville. He stayed in Forest Hill. He took me through to his place. Michael lived alone in a, what was it, a 2-bedroom house. I think it was a 2-bedroom house. He stayed alone in a 2-bedroom house. He had a dog, Rex, and this became my home. After all these years of living on the street and living with the Nigerians, living in all these dingy places, I had a room with an ensuite bathroom. I had never been happier. So I begin my stay with Michael. I begin it staying positive. I'm going to make it. Things are going to be good. And then, like clockwork, just like clockwork, things go wrong once again. Once again, I get tempted. Once again, the devil steps in and says, "You're not too good for me. I found you. I'm back for you." And I just follow, like I did all those other times. No matter what had gone wrong. No matter what I had lost. I basically lost my child, who I was still trying to get. I wasn't speaking to. Still trying to get. I'd lost my wife. I'd lost any respect. I'd felt like I lost the love of friends and family. And yet I decided to go back on that path. Things were looking up for me. I was living at Michael's house. Things were looking up for me. I'm going to get into that story in book 10. a new chapter, a new beginning and ending. Thanks for coming to watch Ace for Addict. This episode or this book was more of alleviating pain that I have. But if you take anything from it, take that no matter how bad things gets, no matter things that you go through that you think that's the end, that you can't go any further, know that recovery is still promised. You can still make it. You just got to hang in there. You just got to be, no, I won't say strong enough because all of us addicts are weak, but you just got to push through. And then to those people that are caring for addicts, take note. This is why we need you. Sometimes you don't know all the hurt that we're going through, and you don't know exactly how we're feeling because we are very, very hard-willed not to show it. Because of our lifestyle, we like to behave and act and pretend like we can handle everything alone. I'm living proof that you can't. I'm proof that you can't. I've carried this guilt and this hurt for 20 years now because I had never spoken about it. Never sat down with anybody and opened myself up. So be there for people. Listen to them. Show them you have a heart for them. Subscribe. Come back. Still a whole lot to tell. Still more interesting, more exciting, more dark things going on. Still a lot of hurt to talk about. Yeah, there's more hurt that happens. And come back. I'll see you soon. Thanks once again.